So the idea for this forum further came from the most recent Transgender Day of Remembrance, and the bathroom signs were temporarily changed in our church to be gender nonconforming. But from further feedback from other members in our church and A&W members, we feel that we would like to push to permanently change these signs to be gender nonconforming. So any questions, again, feel free to put them in the chat or message an A&W member. We'll be happy to answer them. Please enjoy the forum.
Okay, I guess I'll go now. Gender-neutral toilets are an important issue for the trans and gender non-conforming community. This issue has arisen due to the number of bathroom bills that aim to exclude trans and gender non-conforming individuals from public restrooms. The most famous bathroom bill is the Public Facilities Privacy and Security Act in North Carolina, or HB2. HB2 restricted gender-segregated restrooms to the sex listed on birth certificates and also preempted local anti-discrimination ordinances in favor of state law. As recently as 2017, similar legislation was proposed in Minnesota, and that is HF 41 of the 90th Minnesota State Legislature. Gender-neutral bathrooms circumvent this issue by making all restrooms in a facility open to all individuals. From a historical perspective, the first gender-segregated restrooms were in the late 1700s in France, but from an American perspective, the first regulation requiring separate toilet facilities for men and women was passed in 1887, when Massachusetts required the establishment of separate privies and businesses. Wherever male and female persons are employed in the same factory or workshop, a significant number of separate and distinct water closets, earth closets, or privies shall be provided for the use of each sex and shall be plainly designated, the law reads. The law also prohibits mixed use of such facilities. Over the next 3 decades, nearly every state passed its own version of that law. One might think that the notion of segregating restrooms by sex is a matter of biology, but that's incorrect. These laws came about largely at the end of the 19th century in America and reflect patriarchal anxiety about women leaving the home and entering the public workspace. If you look at a broader historical and social context, it's not just bathrooms that were getting segregated by sex at this time. This is the time period where women received private reading rooms in public libraries, and there was always a designated women's carriage on trains. All of these segregations were ostensibly for the protection of women in a hostile male-dominated environment. Now, in 1987, California signed the Restroom Equity Act, which stipulates that there be an equal number of restrooms for both genders and also allows for non-gendered restrooms, period. So it's taken about a century for Americans to reverse, or at least begin to reverse, the trend of gender-segregated restrooms. Now, from a personal perspective, this affects me a great deal. I transitioned about a decade ago while attending grad school at Wayne State University in Detroit. At the time and to this day, there are no transgender protections in Michigan. So for the first few weeks when I transitioned, I made very certain to only use the restroom in my apartment and avoid using the facilities while in class or teaching. For those of you who have survived grad school, you'll know that that is kind of difficult to do because of the amount of time you spend on campus. So yeah, that was very awkward for about a month. Eventually, I sat out the building manager where my office and classroom were located, and I explained my situation. I was granted access to the women's room in the building. For most of the past decade since I transitioned, I've used women's restrooms with no issues, even while traveling through red states. However, every time I do so, no matter how welcoming or tolerant I perceive the place I'm in, I have the thought and the fear that this will be the first time I'm harassed, this will be the first time I'm belittled, or this is the first time I'll be abused for using a women's room. It's always at the forefront of my mind when I use a public restroom, and to that end, I prefer to use gender-neutral restrooms whenever possible. That's both to avoid experiencing discrimination and to avoid making others feel uncomfortable. Finally, the Affirming and Welcoming Committee is making this proposal to change the signage at UUCD. We'll be voting on it during the congregational vote on June 6th. Please vote because this matters. And I'm going to hand it over to Kathleen now.
Thank you, Stephanie. I can honestly attest that this is very much an issue for me. Not now, but sometime I'd like you all to ask me about York, Nebraska. I'll tell you all about it. I have a policy to this day of never speaking out loud in a public restroom because my voice outs me and it's terrifying. I transitioned 20 years ago and I still have this anxiety. I'm going to go ahead and perform a skit that was part of a play called The Naked Eye Monologues from Beyond the Binary. It was performed in 2009 in the Twin Cities by 20% Theater Company from a play written by Tobias K. Davis. And it's the skit right before the intermission. How y'all doing? Enjoying the play? Feeling stimulated? Good. Glad to hear it. So I have a question for you. Do any of you have to pee? Raise your hands. Don't be shy. I know I do. Excuse me for a sec. That's better. Seriously, this is an ongoing problem. I've given myself 3 urinary tract infections in 2 months. One time I even wet myself. And you know why? Yeah, I bet you know why. I mean, look at me. What do you think they see? Well, that little old lady in Costco sure saw a big, scary man. She called the cops on me. You know what I mean. Such a shame. No place to pee. Last week, my friend was raped by the security guards for being in the wrong bathroom. And did you read the papers? Transvestite stabbed in men's room. Makes my bladder infection seem pretty tame, doesn't it? I mean, how degrading is this? They take away our right to pee. We give our cats a litter box. We take our dogs for walks. Even the canary gets a damn newspaper. Okay, I want another show of hands. Who here has gone for a day without peeing? Raise them up. If you run away from the little skirt woman or the little pants man when you're out in the world. If you've ever walked to a different floor or a different building or all the way back home to find a safe bathroom. That's too many. And it has to stop. And now, my friends, enjoy the intermission. For your convenience, the bathrooms have been degendered tonight. So please, pee safely, pee comfortably, enjoy your pee. But wait, me first.
All right, so now we have Laura Charlotte Lowe was not able to be with us today, but we have a video that she prepared for us to share.
Hello, my name is Laura Charlotte, pronouns she, her, and I'm a member of UUCD's Affirming and Welcoming Committee. I'm in the Twin Cities this morning and not sure whether or not I'd be able to join the live forum. I recorded a short presentation on the proposed new bathroom signage. By now, we should already have made the point that the committee proposal is to make UUCD's bathrooms gender neutral so that people who do not identify with the gender binary or whose gender identity doesn't match their perceived gender are not made to feel less than each time they need to pee within our walls. There are a lot of signage options available out there, and I wanted to start with what the committee does not want. Something we discovered when we started looking at gender-neutral signs is that the vast majority of them still talked about gender. You have those signs who use freak imagery, from an half-man, half-woman icon to mermaids and aliens. And I don't know how those are supposed to make non-binary people feel better about themselves. You have those signs that literally say whatever or we don't care. Well, in fact, we are a caring people. We do care. So that is not the right message either. And you have those signs that make a strong stance saying all genders, inclusive. Or even here, I have one sign saying this bathroom has been liberated from the gender binary. So the problem with those signs is that one, they antagonize people who believe in the gender binary, and two, they reaffirm the gender binary at the same time they try to negate it. So we decided that the best approach was the most subtle one. Bathrooms do not intrinsically have anything to do with gender. It is all a recent social construct. So the simplest thing to do is just to remove any mention of gender from the signs. We just want signs that tell people what sort of plumbing fixtures are available beyond the door, instead of focusing on the fixtures of the humans who walk through the door. The idea is that we just trust people to choose what they need. In fact, we expect that not much will change with signs like those. The vast majority of people who currently use the stalls-only bathroom will continue to do so. And the vast majority of people who currently use the bathroom with urinals will continue to do so. But it will give a reprieve to people for whom the gender binary is an issue. And it will simplify the lives of the nursery school attendants or of any other caregiver. As a committee, we were even ready to bet that if we changed the signs without telling anybody, no one would notice. But the board didn't feel that they could okay the change without a congressional vote. So we are presenting sign proposals today. But please note that the committee proposal is merely to have signs that do not reference gender. And we are not absolutely set on the signs themselves. And we are open to ideas about how they should look, what kind of iconography, what kind of words, and so on. So thank you very much for being here today and for being willing to share your concerns and insights with us.
All right, so thank you, Laura from afar, for sharing that overview of our proposal. And at this point, I think we would like to just open it up to discussion. So if people just have experiences they want to share, or questions or concerns or anything, and at some point I'll figure out how to get Kathleen off of Spotlight. I apparently still need to take advanced Zoom. But yeah, thank you so much for being here. And we just want to open it to conversation.